Welcome back to Cryptozoology with the Cryptozoologist History of Sasquatch Part 2. More interesting accounts. There was some things that was going on about in the first video of the Sasquatch that I had forgotten to mention. Trying to explain about Roger Patterson, and I had said 900 pounds, but basically what I was trying to say is that the average individual weighing, even if you went in 180, 200 pound range, something like that, from the many tests out there, there is no possible way that unless a person, depending on how big that they were, would be anywhere from 4 to 8 times the average size of a man, depending on region and things like that. There's been literally dozens of studies done on this by all kinds of mathematicians and different people testing weights and strides and stuff like that. And the lowest estimates you ever get is about 800 pounds, and most people think it's well over 1,000 and something like that. So sometimes, you're talking full blast. I had a lot of stuff in my mind, so I messed up with that a little bit. So I just want to clear that up, as well as my methodology is a little bit different. I just simply look at it and see that there is no way in the ground that the print was any more than probably about a tenth of an inch, and the Patterson ape is around several inches, indicating obviously a much heavier weight would be required to make the prints. And also, because you can see muscles everywhere in the animals moving perfectly across the screen, you see a lot of different fluid, perfect motion. If somebody was in a suit, they'd have to have tons of weight also to be able to get that depth. And you have to think about that. You can't put it in the feet because it would have to be flexible and stuff like that. You can clearly see the creature has flexible feet as it's moving and things. So there's a lot of other stuff that, if you analyze it and look at it carefully, that's, it's impossible that a human being could have been in a suit, because there's just no way somebody could weigh that much and go across such a terrain at such a speed. Um, I was also commenting on stories told about Roger Weber. These are from third parties, not directly him, but according to many others, the deathbed confession was about hiring an actor to do traveling shows to exhibit his movie and talk about it. Instead of asking the real guy Bob, he got an actor to travel with, and he apologized to Bob on his deathbed, and that was the confession according to many sources. And no source states he told Bob it was fake, including Bob does not state that. So I just wanted to clear a couple of those things up. Also notice in the Chupacabra segment, B previously had mentioned about a giant bass weighing towards 15 pounds, indicating it was roughly near 2.5 times the size of a giant bass in the state. Now, some species do not grow in length much more than a particular length, like largemouth. So even though I use largemouth in the statistic, it would not be 2 times the length. However, sturgeon, many species often will keep growing in length, so either can occur. Either they will be, in some rare cases, in some states, you'll find a fish that's 2+ times the size of a huge specimen in the same state, either by weight or in length or both, depending on fish species. So, like some species, like sturgeon, will keep growing in length. Other fish will only grow a certain length. Even giants, but they're just going to get like twice as fat, or things like that. So let's go on some more history of Sasquatch. I have some more old newspaper articles, as well as have some mystery new blurbs mentioning wild men in Europe and other places, but not full story. I picked these up, and I've never been able to read the full story. However, they indicate a Sasquatch-like story, and maybe with some further research, you can find out exactly whether it is a wild man that they're referring to in the newspaper articles. So we're going to go on from funny beer-drinking Sasquatch, as I was mentioning before, to arrested Sasquatch. Newspapers from early to modern times provide a plethora of tales. Um, Here are some mystery articles that may provide new tales of Sasquatch-like beasts in Europe and North America. And now this one, of course, the first one isn't likely a Sasquatch, but it's still interesting, and it's a giant human. A skeleton, 31 feet long, prehistoric animal like a giant man, was found in Calcutta, and that was Friday, 10th August 1934, in the Hartpool Northern Daily Mail. the hairy bam. Pongo is also like a Pongo is cited name for different kinds of apes and stuff like that. So it's hard to see what they're referring to here, but Pongo is in all proportions like a man, for he's very tall and has a man's face, hollowed eyes, with long hairs upon his brows. And so it sounds interesting, like, and they're describing this in 1861 in the Roscommon Messenger, Republic of Ireland. Wild man of the woods, a jungle of Leaf River in the wilds of Mississippi. They startled the inhabitants of the little village of Lux by appearing there in the custody of Humphrey. And this is 1921 Dundee Evening Telegraph, Angus, Scotland. Giant found, the thigh bone of a human being measuring 6 times the number of obio. So I'm not familiar with this as much. So whatever the case, it sounds definitely of more of a gigantic stature, and that was in the Western Gazette, Somerset, England, 1921. Man or monkey, hare and fox tracks, but one mark like that human foot was most puzzling. The coolies assured that it was a track of a wild hairy. So this one definitely sounds more like some kind of a Sasquatch like account. Um, there was in one very kind of bizarre tale here. There's and it seemed, I don't know if somebody actually found the children or not, but there was 2 children, and this is an awful sad thing. Whatever did it, um, were found torn apart. Witnesses in camp say a Sasquatch grabbed 2 kids, putting one on each shoulder and running off with it into the woods. And they found blood even up sometimes as over 12 feet tall up in trees and stuff like that. This was August 2nd, 2009 in the Forest City paper. I've never been able to read the full article, so I don't know exactly what happened to them and stuff. But if anybody's interested in that, it's a side note. I'm going to cover that in another thing. A lot of people think Sasquatch is a super friendly guy and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's literally thousands of people that disappear in forests across North America on a consistent basis for many decades upon decades now. And some people suspect that sometimes it could actually be that's the reason why people disappeared. A lot of these areas where people disappeared are also in high Sasquatch sighting areas. So it's just an interesting side note, but I'm not going to cover that today. But I just thought I'd mention it if you're interested in these kinds of things. Um, Here's some early fascinating ones. A wild man of the mountains, McKean County miner, 1878. And I'm just going to go some parts of the article here. The correspondent describes the wild man as being about 6 foot, 6 inches tall, or 5 inches tall, so roughly about 6.5 feet near there, with broad shoulders and long apish arms. So that's interesting. That's one of the big things about Sasquatches is they have much longer arms, a smooth face, and a funnel-shaped head. Funnel cone shape, that's similar. So very highly likely here we're talking about the same creature. His body is covered with dark brown hair, near 2 inches long. His head and greater portion of his forehead is covered with long, luxuriant, dark red, you know, it looks like hair, some sort of hair or something. I can't, that word's kind of cut out. Correspondent affirms that this is the first time the wild man has been seen or heard of in the neighborhood. So there you go. Very interesting. Um, Pittsburgh Index, Daily Index, 1871. The wild man, what is he? And there's just so many of these. I'm not going to really cover them. You can read through them as you're going along, make your own things. But I did find this one kind of hilarious. Now, obviously, it can't be a Bigfoot, but it sounds pretty funny. And I just put it in for laughs. Wild man who laughs. Stanford County, the resident place of some of New York's wealthiest businessmen, has a mystery in a person of a wild man of the woods. Sometimes his face is masked, sometimes it's not. He lurks behind trees, and at night when a pedestrian comes by, he'll stop quickly, up to the guy's side, I guess, and then he poops in his face and laughs and runs away. So I don't know how you can actually be. You might have to be fairly tall to be able to stand over somebody and poop on their face, but nevertheless, absolutely bizarre. The strangest thing I've ever heard of. But then again, in real a lot of ape species are known to throw, even though it sounds disgusting, they're known to throw their own feces and stuff. So this is a pretty strange tale, but obviously it must be a human being of some sort. But nevertheless, it's quite interesting, and that was in Friday, December 18th, 1908. Uh, here's another one. 1907, boy sees hairy man, Reno Evening Gazette. Wild man startles people of Kentucky. Um, let's here. Let's see here. I'm looking for that one part. The kid describes it. He says it's long black hair streamed down his back and breast in a matted mass, and covered the face so that he could not see whether it had a beard or not. Its body was covered with a coat of soft, fuzzy black hair, and its finger and toenails were long and curved like talons. Now that's kind of strange, that part of it, but occasionally in some Sasquatch reports that you'll find that as well. So now they think it's some kind of a lunatic or something that escaped from prison. So it's hard to say, but it's just another interesting tale. Here's another one, the Brainerd Daily Dispatch, 1934, hairy tribe of wild men in Vancouver. And now there's an interesting part about this that I like. On another occasion, two canoeists, and that's now down near the bottom of the article, report that the giants saw them paddling down a river and started hurling rocks at them. This is a huge thing. You'll find this in stories from back hundreds of years ago to today, occasionally, of Sasquatch doing this, throwing rocks at miners' cabins and all kinds of stuff. So it's an actual well-known thing that apparently, if this animal is real, that's what they like to do. So I just find it interesting that they mention these in some of these stories. To me, that's more believable simply because when you're making up stories, you wouldn't think that independently so many different ones would have this bizarre description here. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Here, right in the article, around the Vancouver, the wild men are described as hairy giants, 9 feet tall, with a ferocious appearance and demeanor. Here's another one, the Adams Sentinel, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 1851. Um, I was trying to see her through the article. Yeah, he was a gigantic stature, the body being covered with hair and the head with long locks that fairly enveloped his neck and shoulder. The wild men, after looking at them deliberately for a short time, turned and ran away with great speed, leaping from 12 to 14 feet at a time. His footprints measured 13 inches each. Now, that's actually small on the Sasquatch end, but it may have been a younger individual and stuff like that. But nevertheless, it definitely sounds like for sure a Sasquatch type of creature. And they're saying even in the article that uh, in previous times there's mentions of these kinds of stuff. So it's very very interesting. Just throwing out there. There's so many of them. So I just wanted to finish off that small little documentary. I didn't have time to do that, as well as I was commenting. About some experts in different fields that there was a fellow there that apparently did suits and different stuff for famous celebrities and things like that, and he's one of the few I've ever seen that actually gave the Patterson film such a poor rating like that, when all of his colleagues pretty well will all state that it's impossible to do. But so I mean, some people, it just fascinates me. I think when if you're going to comment and stuff like that about these kinds of things, you really have to take your time and look over it, and before just outright stating something's this way or that. It needs to be more thoroughly investigated. So all I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with opinions. I highly respect everybody's opinion. If anybody can show me where the zipper is in the suit, well then great. I'll be the first person to congratulate you. But bottom line, just to say, no, no, it's a fake, but you don't really actually have any reasons of doing that, or you can't show the people that you're telling it's a fake why that it should be a fake. That's my issue. Is I simply think um, most people have a predisposition to believe that it's impossible that such a creature exists. Therefore, no matter, even if it's the greatest film on earth, they're still not going to believe it, and then that's what the problem is. So next time we're going to go on about Bunny Man and other world cryptids. But I just wanted to give this second little part to the show there and just mention a few other things and show you a few more interesting newspaper articles. So hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for the next episode. It's going to be Bunny Man and other world cryptids. So thanks for watching and have a great day. Take care. Bye for now.